Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to our spoiler-filled discussion for God of War. I'm Preston Pugh, and I'm joined by my good pal, Garrett Drake.
Preston, how the hell are you?
I'm doing good.
Great.
Thanks.
It's
That
weird
deserves a
without Jacob
handshake
here.
after that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's good to be here with you.
It is good. It's good to be here. We both beat God of War.
We have.
What a game that was.
It was wild.
What a game. On episode 150 of the ItsObviousGaming podcast, which this video is only available on YouTube. So all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, go to the channel, see episode 150 of the podcast, use the timestamps in the description, and you can immediately skip to our spoiler-free God of War discussion. And I want to make it very clear, as you probably see in the titles, this is a spoiler-filled discussion. We're talking endings, we're talking characters, we're talking everything in this game. So if you do not want the game to be spoiled, and you don't, please either go to our spoiler-free discussion or just exit out of YouTube and go play the game yourself.
I think that's very well said.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page now.
All right, sounds good. But we're not going to get too much into the nitty-gritty of combat. We pretty much discussed that super in depth in our spoiler-free discussion, and obviously our thoughts are pretty much the same. We might get into the combat in terms of some spoilers, but for the most part, if you want to hear combat discussion, go check out episode 150 of our podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, but with all that out of the way, Garrett, where do you even want to start with this?
Oh boy. Let's talk about reveals in the game.
Okay.
Even, like we said, combat and characters specifically, because there's a lot of reveals in this game. I wouldn't say there's necessarily any twists per se.
I think there's
one could be considered a twist.
Two
I guess.
twists in this game, I would say.
But reveals in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I guess let's just go ahead and start with the big one. That was the first spoiler I saw online. God bless the fact that I beat the game before the spoiler dropped, but I pity all who saw it prior to the game's release because it broke my heart for those who had no idea.
Yeah, it's definitely something that if you like God of War, you wanted to see coming, but you didn't want to know it was there. At least that's how I felt.
And I'm sure some speculated that the Blades of Chaos were indeed going to be in the game. I'm sure someone at some point predicted that or guessed it or at least hoped for it. Now, I think it was kind of obvious when I think it's Freya says like the enemies in, or maybe who says is it Freya who tells them like the enemies in Helheim are too cold for your axe to have any effect on them.
I knew the second that we are going to get some Blades of Chaos at that point. Or just like you need to find another weapon or something like that. I think that's what she said.
I can't remember Kratos' response, but I think he says something like, I have what I need or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But that was just an awesome reveal because one, the emotional impact of Atreus going down after that duel with, I think it was, who was left alive? Was it Maggie or Modi?
Magni or...
one of the two. Yeah, one of two of Thor's dopey sons, which we'll talk about that boss battle in a bit. Yeah. But after that battle, he was very ill and had fallen sick. So Kratos had to go. Why are we going to Helheim again? To get the heart of that troll.
The gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper like to bring back and heal Atreus, correct? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's correct.
Obviously, you take that leisurely boat ride back to your home, and Athena makes an appearance. I love just Kratos.
Well, at least in Kratos'
in his mind,
imagination.
Yeah. So I love I love that 360 pan around Kratos while he's in the boat, and it briefly shows Athena. And he's Athena. He just pans and she's gone. Get out of my head, and she disappears.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about, we couldn't talk about this on the spoiler-free discussion, but I believe it was Handsome Jack who asked about our favorite quotes. Was it Handsome Jack?
I believe so.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes, which we couldn't talk about because it was a spoiler, is when obviously Kratos digs out from under the floorboard in his house, the Blades of Chaos. He's had them wrapped up all this time. And again, in his imagination, we assume Athena appears at his doorstep and is basically talking down to him, saying, all these things you pretend to be, husband, father, or husband, teacher, and then father. And he looks at her when she says father. She goes, you can't live these lies. You'll always be a monster. And we talked about how we love Kratos' response, that just the emotion in his voice when he goes, I know. Yeah. It's because he knows everything he's been through, everything he's done, leading to this moment. Now he's trying to make things right with his new son, trying to change his life, for not only for himself, but for the future of his child. and when he equips those blades of chaos. But I love his response beyond when he says, I know, and he goes, but I'm your monster no longer. And then you walk out your door and slaughter all those ice enemies.
Yeah.
That was it was satisfying in the sense that, yes, it's great to get the Blades of Chaos back. It's so cool. And now, I'm not a long-time God of War fan. I've played the third. I've seen everything that happens in 1 through 3, and of course the ones in between that people have dabbled in with like story synopses and stuff. So I'm aware of the fame and the love people have for those weapons. So it's cool just reacquiring those and immediately how good it feels to use them in the new game with the new camera, new combat, and how in depth the combat can go with these weapons that people have used for 3 games just to hack and slash, and how much deeper they can now go. So I'll let you take it from there, but I loved getting to that portion of the game.
No, that was probably the obviously up until that point, that was the most hyped I had gotten. Like, I was just blown away at that point. I played all 3 God of Wars a little bit later than when I played 3 upon release. I actually played 3, 1, and 2 in that order. But I wouldn't say that I'm like a diehard God of War fan, but I appreciate the series and I enjoy them. And even with me feeling like that towards the series, just getting the Blades back, just his conversation with Athena and just going out there and just wrecking house on all those guys, just with the soundtrack and just everything together. It was so exciting and just badass and just pretty much every other adjective I could ever say about it. But definitely one of the high points of the game, just a really awesome part. And then just the weapon alone, just adding another weapon with a skill tree to follow, just to use, and puzzles even
that require them. I think it's called the winds of something.
The winds of hell or something like that. You can capture those inside the Blades of Chaos, almost like a energy, and you have the 10 seconds to put it in another ball. But and then burning the thorns around some chests or other areas that you've seen throughout the game. And then using it for ice enemies and stuff, when you have to, especially during I know we're kind of skipping around, but I really liked the implementation and the final boss fight against Baldur, having to switch back and forth between the axe and the Blades of Chaos. So.
That's why it was such a brilliant boss battle, is because, again, not only the character development on all fronts between Atreus, Kratos, Freya, and even Baldur up to this point.
I think also when you were getting the that piece of stone, tears, to allow you to get to Jotunheim, I believe that's what it's called, the 2 trolls that spawn, I believe they're fire and ice as well, and you have to switch it up depending on which one you're fighting. I think you have to
when you're in Tears vault, I believe, right? It's great too how the game just hints at you and prepares you for the next battle that's to come. And that's kind of where it teases the idea of having to switch between the 2 different weapons for certain enemies. And of course, that one immediately when you get the Blades of Chaos, but in one battle specifically, where instead of it being one or the other, it combines both. And all those fights were incredibly enjoyable, just having to switch up your approach at any given moment, depending on who came at you. And that's why I love the final boss battle, because of the story arc we have reached at the pinnacle of this story, where everything's coming together. And on top of all of the great storytelling and character development is that epic fight that's not only incredibly cinematic, but so it depends on gameplay so strongly of what you've built up throughout the course of the game, all of your skills you've unlocked, all of the practice you've had with both weapons up until this point, and utilizing your weapons and your abilities to the best of your own ability to take them on was so awesome. And it's very easy for a boss battle to turn into a glorified QTE event, but to have this be so heavily focused on gameplay, in addition to the epic cinematics where you're falling off a giant and Atreus is shooting arrows in midair, so cool. And that boss battle was probably the most epic boss battle I've played, if not in recent memory. At least
since God of War 3.
Exactly. Sure. I mean, it blew my mind how good it was. It was incredible. And that's coming off of the opening boss battle against Baldur at the beginning, where that in and of itself was great as well. Not at all what I expected at the beginning.
For sure. And what about just the story also going on at that boss fight, knowing that Baldur is Freya's son, who she pretty much sacrificed her relationship with him just to make sure that he was, you know, safe, even if that meant him hating her. She was, I wouldn't say fine with it, but I think there was a piece of like something in her that was kind of fine with him hating her because she knew that he was safe. And just seeing the death of him and having her pretty much, I would assume, turn against Kratos maybe in the later games. I just think that was a just really cool how the story did that, because I like you grow to like Freya. She helps you in your journey, but it's like
she's very motherly too. She
was unaware that, you know, her helping you on your journey would inevitably lead to
her son's death.
Yeah, the one thing that she tried so hard to
protect.
Yeah, protect ended up, you know, driving you to kill him, or just, you know, put your path on his or whatever.
That's why I love the secrets revealed while you're in Helheim after you crash land in there. Once you know, you make it back up to the summit in Midgard, and Baldur shows up and ruins that ordeal. Another epic set piece where he kidnaps Atreus, and Kratos just doesn't even hesitate to leap off the mountain and land on the dragon. You have that big battle on the dragon, and I love how seamless the one-shot nature of the whole game is, where there's no cuts whatsoever. The moment the menu opens up at the beginning of the game where Atreus is standing in front of the tree with Faye's handprint on it, never cuts from start to finish, and it's the greatest.
Just from the top of the mountain, then you just end up in Helheim, just that quick. Like, it's crazy.
You land, you roll, instantly back into gameplay. Yeah. Incredible. I mean, I cannot even imagine the challenge of accomplishing that.
And I love how before that even happens, when they're about to go to, I'm probably just butchering this name, Jotunheim, where Atreus is so pissed off at Kratos for keeping him from Baldur. He hits him with his own arrow, stuns Kratos, and at the end of Kratos jumping off, grabbing him back from Baldur, just punching him. Probably, I want to count how many times Kratos punches Baldur in the face throughout the entire game. It's got to be at least plus 100. And once they land in Helheim, how he just grabs Atreus' hand and is like, you better stop this crap right now. Like he's a kid in a supermarket, like throwing a tantrum, you know, besides like spanking him. You know, I really loved that conversation, just saying like, we are here because of you right now. Like, you better stop this crap. You need to honor your mother, you know, right now. And that from that point on, it kind of like, you know, set him straight. So I thought that was a really cool conversation he kind of had with him. Kratos was kind of sick of his bull crap, and Atreus goes through a really interesting character arc where at the beginning he's very timid and almost
and innocent and sweet in a way,
and then I really like how when he learns he's a god, I almost thought, kind of thinking just before playing the game, when I thought about the moment Kratos would inevitably have to tell Atreus about being a god, I figured he would be mad about it. Like, why'd you keep this from me for so long? But he was cool with it. He was like, oh yeah, I'm a god now. And for a couple of hours, he's extremely cocky. He's like, nobody can mess with us. He kills Modi or Magni,
whichever one it was, the one that was left alive.
The loser one. And you can tell just with him going at Baldur, he thinking he was just invincible because he had God in him, and then Kratos kind of had to hit him with a reality check really quick, you know, be the good father Kratos is to him in Helheim, and kind of, you know, set him straight. I just thought that arc from him was really cool.
Me too, because in a lot of ways, I imagine that's how most kids would react if they found out that you're a god. You can arguably do whatever you want when you want to. No one's going to stop you.
Even they do that when you go back to the Lake of Nine, and he'll bring up every now and then once you get back, like, oh, you want to go explore? Well, since this revelation, he goes, we're gods. We can do what we want. Like, let's go explore and stuff. Like, I love how they kind of just change how he acts about something that he has said several times throughout the game, and how it's different now that he knows he's, part god.
I felt so bad for Sindri too as soon as he finds out he's a god, and Sindri complains about Brock again for like the 20th time, which was always humorous to me. But then Atreus just chews him out like, no one cares, just shut up about your brother, keep it to yourself. Felt so bad for the guy. But I love that arc too, and I like how Atreus learned his lesson due to his own poor actions. And Kratos is exactly right. It is your fault right here. Now we have to deal with the situation because of you. Yeah. And it was nice to see Atreus come full circle in that sense, where again, like he was timid and kind of reserved in the beginning and asking Kratos a lot of questions along the way. And then he had that cocky phase, and then after he learned his lesson, it was almost like the complete version of Atreus after that. Like he went back to being the sweet version of Atreus, but he's more confident in what he was doing, but he wasn't cocky about it. So I like that a lot. What's something else we need to touch on? I guess we can talk about the boss battle initially between Maggie and Modi when you first encounter them. Near underneath the giant, whatever that giant's name is, the corpse of Thamur, I think. Thamur. So Thamur. Yeah, however you pronounce it.
It's the one that I think didn't like Thor kill him.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
that's one of my favorite areas in the game. Just how the scale of everything, because you're at the literal corpse of a giant and you're manipulating parts of his beard and his hammer just to get into where you're trying to be. To get I think it was the fragment or the chisel. It was the chisel you needed.
Yeah, to be able to get through those magic doors.
And just that whole...
Or no, you're actually getting it for
the chisel to open those...
That's not what it's initially for.
It was to go into Tyr's vault, I believe. You needed the chisel to open that seal to get into his vault.
I thought it was for something else.
I can't remember. Because obviously you can use it to get into a lot of those vaults where the Valkyries lie.
Yeah.
But I know you use it also specifically for whatever that Tyr portion is.
And I do want to say, I know both of us, just a little disclaimer, because I'm sure there's going to be some things in the story that we're getting wrong, and please, if we are wrong or whatever, please.
Some of it's our interpretation at the moment.
Yeah, and also I rushed through it.
Yeah, you beat it very quickly.
I beat it very quickly, and you played it through kind of spaced out segments. So I am 1,000% going to play through it again.
You and me both.
It just through the story, just so I can kind of take it more in now. But this is a big game, and we very well could be a little scatterbrained.
Watching names and stuff.
Exactly. So.
But yeah, that boss battle was I love, especially when Mimir, I know we're bouncing around a lot. It's just we're taking it all in right now because we haven't had a chance to talk to anyone. It's like
every time
but this thing and that thing,
something else is coming into our brain that's equally as cool.
Mimir, which I love how Kratos just calls him Head the entire game, like be quiet, Head.
my favorite supporting character in a long time. He's so awesome.
He is.
He's so cool.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, it just the character alone, just his personality is great, and whoever's voicing him is excellent as well.
I loved his just his stories he would tell when you're just kind of rowing through the island of the Lake of Nine. Yeah. Before, I would always, even if I would get to a dock, I would just sit there and wait for his story to be over before I got out. But that's like very reminded me of Grand Theft Auto in a sense where if you got out of the boat, they'd be like, okay, we'll pick this up at a later time, and he'll start right back off from where he was once you get right back inside of the boat. So I thought that was really cool how they did that.
Yeah, me too. I like too when you meet him. I think he's talking to Thor's sons, and Baldur's there too. Initially on top of that peak, he's attached to that tree.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to cut off my head, and hopefully Freya can reanimate me. Yeah. And I love he says something that's very frustrating to Kratos, and Kratos is just like, I'm going to cut off your head now. He goes, okay. Just decapitates him. Trace is like, I can't watch this. And I think it's so funny too, how he's attached to your hip for the rest of the game. Yeah. And he's just along for the ride. When you're jumping off mountains and dodge rolling, getting hit by giant trolls, he's just hanging out.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if just for the rest of
this potential trilogy,
exactly, if he's just going to be on your butt the whole time.
I hope he is, man. He's a great character. Yeah. I felt naked after he at the end when you go up to the summit in Jotunheim, and he's not with you. I felt naked without him. I was like, I feel like something's missing.
Yeah. I liked how as funny as he is, that was cool how he realized the
like, this is your
significance of it and was like, yeah, just leave me here.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to stay structured as possible before we bounce around to like the end specifically.
Yeah.
But the boss battle with Thor's sons, to circle back to that, I thought it was funny when Amir, you're approaching the chisel. He's like, all right, hurry. We can grab it before anyone shows up. And as soon as he said that, one of them just falls from the ceiling atop an ogre. Yeah. And that battle ensues. And I loved how they were taunting. And this is before Atreus knew he was a god. So I know they were taunting because Atreus, gets injured. Well, after that fight, he's ill. Yeah, and then they run into him again, and that's when he goes down. Yeah. So when he initially saves Atreus, I think that's when he has the talk with him. Yeah, going down. So yes. So what'd you think about that fight in general? You think it was a fun boss fight. That's what I love about the boss fights in this game is that you're actually playing the game exactly how you fought everything else. It's just a bit more challenging because you have to learn these bosses' new move sets.
Yeah, and I like how it's not completely gimmicky with you just learning new systems and
out of nowhere and stuff.
Yeah, it is very much just. I get the only boss fight I can think of that's kind of like that. I guess is the dragon fight because you have to throw those pieces of amber at him. Yeah, but even though that was like something you had been
practicing with blowing up objects and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought it was a solid boss fight, and I did like how I know we're just saying, oh, there's no new mechanics, but once you get them through quarters, you go in that new mechanic where you have Atreus behind you, and you have to throw your shield up as they come in from the shadow. So I thought that was a cool way to break up that fight. Mm-hmm. For the most part, so.
Cool visual too when you're back to back and circling around and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say disappointed, but Kratos, this game by no means is not violent. Mm-hmm. But could you imagine how old Kratos would have finished that guy off?
Oh yeah, he would have lost his head undoubtedly.
Yeah, but he just
axed him in the face,
finishes him off and I know a lot of people were a little concerned coming into this game that Kratos has changed too much. I wouldn't say he's a completely different person because he is still the old Kratos, but he's trying to almost kind of right the wrong. He's just trying to be a better father figure. Mm-hmm. So you can see he is kind of a little reserved in his
in his violent nature. Exactly. It's more subdued this time around.
Exactly.
It's in there.
Yeah.
He doesn't let out the beast.
Yeah. He didn't like decapitate this guy,
or beat his face to a bloody pulp, to where it's just mush afterwards.
Yeah, so like he doesn't even really want to kill gods. Mm-hmm. Like I think there's a quote he says to Atreus. He's like, "You don't know the consequences of killing these people." Because I mean, Kratos killed all of them. Look what he did to the world, and it was just like hell. Like the apocalypse had happened. Yeah, and seemingly Kratos is bringing he's already started at the end of the game. He's begun Ragnarok for this place.
Yeah, it's just his poor luck, especially coming to this Norse world and this whole new region of the world and having to deal with these new gods, where I guess it's just all a testament to his deceased wife Faye, and then Atreus being the son of her, who we now know as Loki. Just a huge reveal at the end of the game. Yeah. So let's kind of go into that a bit, because obviously Kratos at the beginning, their journey was as simple as, my wife died, your mother's dead, we're going to deliver her ashes to the highest mountain in all the realms. Mm-hmm. As her final wish.
It was Jotunheim.
Yeah,
that's where that was.
Yep. Turns out she was a giant. Turns out that means Atreus, who is technically Loki, is also a giant, and that's why. This is where we get into the speculation phase. I think you figured out, or possibly determined, why Baldur was seeking.
This is granted, it could have been spilled out plain as day and just right over my heads, head. Yeah. But as you saw at the end of the game, the prophecy that's on the wall shows Baldur being killed by Kratos and Atreus, and just kind of the prophecy of what's supposed to happen. And after you beat the game, Mimir, as you're fast traveling, he kind of tells Atreus that Odin, what does he say? He like looks at prophecies. He
Odin collects prophecies.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, how he's
especially ones related to the future.
Exactly, and I think that either Odin sent Baldur to find Faye or find Atreus to maybe stop Ragnarok. Baldur knew that Atreus was the one that was going to kill him, something like that. So they were just trying to prevent that. Maybe that's why they were coming after him. That's what I think, at least.
Could have been, yeah. Because as we know, post that final battle with Baldur, after Baldur's death and you visit Jotunheim, you come back and the eternal winter has begun in Midgard, leading to Ragnarok eventually, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
That's how it starts. And so I'm so excited to play through the story again because I want to pay even more attention because I really care about this world.
Me too.
You know, like I'm all so into it. And I want to know everything. Like I didn't really read Atreus's journal that much when things would happen. So I want to read everything now the next time through. And I am like going back and reading things that he had previously written down that I didn't read at the time. So if we're completely wrong, or let us know in the comments down below. I'd love for there to be a discussion on what you think is going on and stuff, or if we're just flat out wrong and there's proof or something we missed, like a journal entry or whatever, as to why we're wrong about Baldur hunting us down or Odin hunting us down or whatever. But there was, in the prophecy at the end, at the top of Jotunheim, where we saw Kratos dead next to Loki. Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure what was coming out of their mouths. It looked like
an evil mist or squid or something.
Something like that. Yeah. I don't know. But that concerns me.
If it's written on the wall and everything else has come true, one has to imagine that's going to be hard to prevent.
Yeah.
Whenever that may come. I loved that reveal as well on the wall where they're like, holy crap, they all knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And Faye knew it was going to happen. I guess that's why she had them. That's why they realized why she had them take her ashes there, was for that reason.
Exactly.
Another gorgeous visual too is when you're atop the peak and you can see just the ocean of giant corpses out there. And just the music too. We didn't talk about the music in our spoiler-free review. Somehow we overlooked that, but the music throughout the game is perfect in every moment, whether it be that booming,
those 3 notes,
low octave theme for Kratos, and then the more emotional bits. That's, I guess you would call Faye's theme. I know specifically it spawns off the tune called Ashes on the soundtrack, but those same 2 melodies are kind of interwoven throughout the game, depending on what you're doing and what you're experiencing. Yeah. So the music in every moment was just flawless. I love the end to her when they're spreading her ashes and the music's playing. It's gorgeous. It's great. So, and what were you gonna say?
Oh no, you continue.
I just like that transition too. Just as soon as you spread the ashes and you turn to leave, the credits start rolling. So, and I loved Kratos' story to Atreus as to how he gave him that name, about his Spartan brother in battle. How he was just totally fearless, and it was because of him a lot of them survived in whatever battle that was. And I always thought, even before I played the game, that Atreus sounded like a Greek name, which wasn't a surprise to me because Kratos was from Sparta or whatever. But I always thought that sounded Greek, and I'm glad they he provided Atreus with an explanation as to why that was his name. And I wonder if Atreus will get to a point where he prefers to be referred to as Loki over Atreus. Yeah. Which is so cool. Obviously, they're playing with Norse mythology a bit.
Yeah, because I started looking into Norse mythology, and obviously Loki has a dad, and it's not Kratos, obviously. Yeah. But apparently Loki gave birth to the World Serpent.
In traditional Norse mythology, apparently.
Which makes sense, I guess. Yeah. So they are doing a little, but he did conspire and kill Baldur in the mythology. So there are some things that are true, but obviously the World Serpent was there before Loki, obviously. Right. But one thing I did find in the game, and I also read, and you actually find one of those cabinets you open up, is the World Serpent killing Thor. That is in Norse mythology as well. Thor ultimately kills the World Serpent, but
he dies because the serpent's poison or venom or whatever.
Yeah, so that's going to be in the game. Oh, you teaming up with him to fight Thor or something. Yeah. Or I want to take Thor's hammer and have like a Hercules moment out of God of War 3 where you just bash his head in like to a pulp.
I'd love to see the Leviathan axe versus Mjolnir.
Dude, what if that's just a weapon you get too?
Mjolnir? Yeah. That'd be kind of cool. Like you kill him and you get to keep it.
Yeah. be kind of cool.
Now, I like how it was originally phase
Dual wielding.
Yeah, I like how how Brock. I think it was Brock specifically, maybe not Brock and Sindri, but they originally crafted the axe for Faye, and it belonged to her. And I assume she had that same recall ability, because that's what's interesting. You never see Faye, what she looked like, or never get more than that she was a giant and knew of this prophecy.
And that's something about this game. There is so much unanswered.
Yeah.
So, like, how did Kratos even get here?
I know.
Who was Faye?
Yeah.
Like, besides being a giant and stuff. Yeah, like, what is their story? Again, like, just the more kind of speculation on, is there more to Odin sending Baldur to kind of see what Kratos is doing?
I feel like these are answers that will be revealed in the second and what we assume to be a third game eventually.
Yeah. And I completely got what's the word I'm looking for? I needed to kind of hold my horses back on what I thought was going to be in the game, and I kind of realized it halfway through that how do I explain this? After coming off of God of War 3, where you kill literally every god, I just kind of thought that's how this was going to be. But with them obviously wanting to build off of this one, they could not just blow their load, completely with this one. So
I think that's what's great about it, is that we talked about, I think, a bit in a spoiler-free review, is the reservation they had for the world they've built and the characters they've established. I thought the cast was the perfect size, because you got enough of each character to appreciate all of them and feel the emotional impact of each one. Even the side characters that we talked about with Brock and Sindri and even Mimir, in a sense, you get a lot of all of them throughout the game. It never felt oversaturated, like there were too many characters in the game, because I have all the characters listed here and there really aren't that many.
Yeah.
And now you get names of other characters, but you don't interact with them or see them throughout the game, with the exception of one, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But that was I really appreciated that a lot. And again, like, I was kind of expecting more god battles as well, but I'm glad we only got what we did, because that makes me look even more forward.
We got 3?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's more than, like, the first God of War had 1, I think. God of War 2 had, I think, 1. I think he fought Zeus at the end. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I'd rather them just hold it, and then. But like I said, I don't think Kratos doesn't want to kill.
I think he just wants to be left alone.
Exactly.
It's like, F off.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to deliver my wife's ashes.
I think that I think either in the next game, I think Kratos is going to think he sees an opportunity to just kind of die and just hope that he can end it. I don't think he wants to keep, because think about it. There's when you go to Odin's palace in Helheim and you see that wooden plank where it shows the different like realms, like Egypt and like
and
Egyptian
Greece
and all of that stuff. Some people are thinking, oh, Kratos, we're going to have like Assassin's Creed and Kratos is going to be going to all
Egypt and fight Anubis.
I don't know if I want that.
I don't know if I want that either.
I think
I'd like
as much as this is an amazing rebirth, just as Kratos as a character, I just, like you said, he's just like, leave me alone, dude. I just want to chill in my cabin in the woods with my son. I'm sick of all this God stuff. Like I think he's, if I were to make a prediction, I think he dies in this next one. I think he just gives, not give up, but I think he just, maybe he thinks he's the problem, because Odin came for him. He helped, I know that in the prophecy it had like Loki killing Baldur with Kratos, but Kratos killed Baldur. And
ultimately, if you think about it, though, it's almost Atreus' fault, because when Baldur punches him, the arrow on that Atreus had pierced.
Yeah, we didn't even
hand.
talk about that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that eliminates his enchantment that Freya had put over him to protect him for life, and that exposed him to all that.
How the hell does Sindri get those? I don't want to know.
I know, those just came out of nowhere, and that's what was great. That little hint, little nod that is easy to miss when you show up back at Freya's and like, hey Freya, how's it going? And she's like, you can't have these arrows, Atreus. These are very dangerous. These are evil.
I'll be interested in my next playthrough to be more like aware what's going on
of
at
all
that
the hints they
point.
drop throughout the game.
Exactly.
And that's why I was a little confused about Baldur, is because obviously originally you think he says he's coming for Kratos, but atop the peak in Midgard again, before Kratos jumps off the mountain after Atreus under the dragon, Baldur goes, "Hey, it turns out I needed your son the entire time," and that's when he tries to steal him. So I guess it all comes down to that prophecy where they're just Odin. We assume was trying to prevent that
I mean,
from
I think
happening.
that's clear that Atreus is going to have a major role just for the Ragnarok, the rest of the world there, enough to where Odin needs him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Let's talk about Freya's reaction to Kratos killing Baldur.
Just kind of, I think that part is, gameplay wise, it was freaking awesome, but I know we already talked about that, but just the whole story of him just wanting to kill Baldur wanting to kill his own mother for doing that to him, and her being completely fine with it because she loves him so much that she is willing to let him just kill her on the spot. And as he's killing her, she's professing her love to him and is completely fine with it. And then Kratos just walks up and breaks the dude's neck right in front of her, saying something along the lines of like, "We're better than that. We got to be better than this. I'm putting an end to this crap, like right here." Which I think he literally started something new doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, killing him and killing Thor's sons just probably didn't help anything.
Definitely not.
Stopping anything.
Mm-hmm.
But Freya, I think Atreus tells her like, why are you pissed off? We just saved your life. And she just
say something along the lines of, "I will bring down every fury beneath the sky," or something, whatever.
But she says, "No, you've taken everything from me." Like this was like almost she like her reason to live was this son. And I think that she's gonna be something we'll probably have to deal with in the next
probably
one.
Hopefully because Mimir's being optimistic about it. He's like, hopefully she'll come around in time, hopefully. But I don't know about that. She seemed pretty serious.
She seems pretty, up until that point she seemed pretty reasonable. But I guess you kill a mother's son might make her flip a little bit. Can't blame her.
What are we going to talk about that? The reveal when you're in Helheim and Baldur's having that vision of himself killing his mother or attempting to kill her, and he's freaking out about it. And that reveal when you find out that he is indeed her son, it totally explains his character and adds so much depth and made me completely sympathize with the guy. Not that I have a mother that's that overbearing to where she'd strip me of all feeling, to where it would drive an individual mad, where not only can you not feel pain, but you can't taste anything, you can't smell anything, you can't feel the wind on your skin.
It's cool because it's like you will forever live, but you won't be living. Really.
You're basically a walking corpse. I mean, you have no feeling whatsoever. No wonder he was a madman. Like he was a psychopath because of that. And that it just goes to show just the mistake Freya may have made in trying to protect her son. It turned him into just a supervillain of sorts. So I love that reveal though, because it added so much levity to his character.
I did not expect that at all. It seems like you should be able to see that coming, and I'm sure somebody playing the game. But just her taking the arrows away and her having a son, I just did not put two and two together at all. So that was a very nice payoff that they had been building, and I know we're talking about it again. Just Kratos breaking off a piece of the mistletoe arrow to fix his little pouch, and that actually coming into play later with because that's when he straight up gut punched Atreus in that fight. I was like, oh no. I was like, he's dead.
I love Atreus' reaction though. He's like, "Not my blood," and then you realize it's in his hand, and he's like, and then it washes off of him. So cool.
So epic, dude.
Loved it.
I want to go play it again.
Who was that giant with the piercing through his head that Freya summoned?
That was the giant that was laying there.
The dead one?
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
She reanimated it.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that same giant. I was wondering where because I know you land near him again. I
Yeah,
didn't know it
no,
was that same
she
giant.
made that one come back.
Holy crap. Well, dude, that means that's why we are wondering when you kill Baldur and she carries his corpse away. If she can reanimate Mimir's head, reanimate the giant, why could she not reanimate Baldur?
She can. There's no reason.
What would he be like reanimated, though, as like a zombie version of himself?
Dude, she has got to come after Kratos with her zombie son.
I guess. Man. I love that final boss battle, dude. And it satisfies in every sense. Storytelling, character, gameplay. It is the ultimate final set piece of a video game. And it was perfect. I love the quiet ending, too, to the game. After that, where you take a slow trip all the way to Jotunheim and up the giant staircase and into the realm and talk to Atreus. It was perfect. Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about side content. So, did you do any side content at all?
The only one I dabbled in was the souls spread around the Lake of Nine, where you can help them in each individual section, fight all the enemies like, thank you for freeing me or whatever.
So did you even see the 3 dragons?
I don't think so.
All right. So there are 3 dragons set in one of them in particular, huge area, a dwarven king's castle that you go to, and you set a dragon free, and it's one of the side quests. There are 3 dragons you have to set free. Those 3 quests are really cool. There's another side quest where you have to get dwarven armor. There are the side quests where you have to help the souls, but the big ones primarily are the dragons and kind of doing some favors for Brock and Sindri, and they are not filler at all. They take you to completely different areas, completely different puzzles. Like it is a complete extension of more God of War. So you literally have more actual, not like, oh, collect 5 of these, like more levels to go if you just played through strictly the single player. And that's what has me so excited to continue this game. And also on top of that, there are 2 realms we didn't even talk about, Niffleheim and Ohbulgruf. The fireplace.
Oh, I haven't been there yet, no.
Yeah, which the fireplace is essentially like your trials, your challenge trials that get progressively harder, and you get this smoldering embers currency there, which you use to craft this completely different type of armor. Same thing with the Niffleheim quest, which takes place. Have you been there yet, Niffleheim?
Not yet. I've yet to go. So
the mechanic here is there is poison gas that you have a time limit that you have to get through, and every time you pick up chests, it extends your time, and it's randomly generated. Every time you go in, it's a completely different maze, section of things, puzzles you have to get through in time periods, and based on how many of these souls you collect, you can use them to buy or open up these particular chests that give you armor from this particular place. I got some gauntlets from there, which slowly make your health go up as time goes on, and the more pieces of that gear you acquire, I think the more health goes up. So something different and definitely worth doing, because you are compensated with really cool gear. I would imagine it isn't just about, like we were talking about, oh, you're just getting cool gear to have it. I mean, you can use this better gear to take on the Valkyries. The Valkyries. Which is some are saying the hardest enemies in the game. Yes, I fought 2 Valkyries. One Valkyrie took me 3 tries to kill, and I got her very hard. The second one, after about the 6th attempt of almost killing her, I think I just wasn't strong enough, because she was... And I hope it changed. This might be my little bit of a nitpick, but with there being like 9, I believe, I hope the fights vary more so than the second one I fought, because it, for the most part, had the same moves, but it had other enemies with it, which were kind of throwing me off a little bit. So hopefully they're not all the exact same fight. Yeah. But even so, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a mix up. Even that was one of my, literally looking back on this game in terms of games that I like, it's essentially perfect. I think it excels in literally everything, but my one nitpick is I would have liked a bigger variety of these giant bosses. So I which my nitpick is I want more of this super awesome thing that I still think I had enough of. I just wanted more of it. Whereas I feel like we
a little more diversity, you mean?
Exactly. I mean, you fight the trolls
are more or less the same fights every time.
More, I don't want to be completely dishonest and say they're exactly the same, because they have different elements, which they have different
require you to block different ways or dodge different ways.
Exactly. Like the gatekeeper, for instance, is a troll, but he will teleport in his attacks, and it switches it up a little bit. But even those fights, the combat is so freaking fun, and it's something just a little different that you kind of have to work around. That it's still a freaking blast. Like at no point when a troll came up, I was not like, oh
yeah, me neither. I always really enjoyed those fights.
Yeah, it's still a blast. But man, what was I even talking about? Forgot the entire point I was making.
Gear at the end of the game, side stuff.
Oh yeah. I know you can get Valkyrie gear, and I know that once you beat all the Valkyries, there's an even bigger boss at the end, and I'm so excited to go I'm just so excited to know that this game that I've already put like 20 plus hours into and loved to death, in terms of content, I'm like halfway through. I have so much more to play and so much more to do, and I love getting badass armor in games, so that's definitely a carrot at the end.
Kratos can look incredible in this game. He looks even Atreus looks cool. So yeah, I love upgrading the gear throughout. It made just progression so satisfying in the game, not only in terms of your abilities you're using, how Kratos' moveset becomes more fluid and not really acrobatic, but almost like in a barbaric dance in a way, because it all just flows together so seamlessly, even switching out weapons throughout the entire fight. And utilizing your various enchantments on your armors to really customize your gameplay experience, how you like to fight and everything. So it made every fight, like I said in the previous spoiler-free podcast, just dynamic. And I was never bored in any fight. I always look forward to each one. Like some games I'll play that I want to progress in the game's story, and I get tired of the fights. And never once in this game did I have that experience, because the combat is so satisfying. I'm excited for the side stuff too, because I hardly got to dabble, because when I was working on the walkthrough for COG, my only goal was to get through the story in a timely fashion. So anytime a side mission popped up, I had to ignore it. As badly as I wanted to play it, I dabbled in some, but I had to ignore most of them because I just had to get through the story. So I'm in the same boat most people are, I assume, by the time they reach the end of the game. If you haven't dabbled in a bunch of side stuff already, that's where I'm jumping in now, which I'm excited to continue in that on an actual TV for once. I played on a dinky monitor the whole time I played the game, so I'm very excited for that. A few things I wanted to touch on, very specific parts. At the very end, when you're atop the mountain spreading the ashes, I like how Kratos finally refers to Atreus as son, instead of boy. And I noticed that too, because he calls him boy the entire game. And of course he starts calling him by name to Atreus throughout the game, but he never calls him son till the very end atop that mountain. And I love the moment too where he realizes or he determines that Atreus is matured enough to carry his mother's ashes the rest of the way. That was a touching moment too. Really liked that. I also like
how I know everybody has said this ad nauseum, but just how insane that is. We're talking about touching moments in God of War.
Several throughout the game. So it's great. A couple of the bits with Zeus throughout the game too. The first time you see him in Helheim, where his giant face appears, like Kratos. I can't remember what he says to him. But he's like, Zeus. And he goes, how is this possible? And Mimir's like, it's just an illusion, mate. Our brother. Don't worry about it. Ignore it. And then when he reappears, it shows Kratos beating the hell out of him from God of War 3.
And Atreus sees it. But
I like how he pretends like he didn't see it at first.
Just because they need to get out of the situation they're in.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see an old man. I thought it was a great time for Kratos to just be brutally honest with him, too, after he kills Baldur. Or maybe it's right before or right after he kills Baldur, and Freya's like, well, how much does Atreus know or whatever? And just Kratos lays it out for him. Like, this is where I'm from. I'm from a faraway land called Sparta. And talks about killing his own father and everything. So
everybody kills their dad. Literally.
All these gods killing their fathers. So
I'm not going to lie. I assume that's what was going to happen in this game. That was my prediction, that it's how it would end it. And I think that's probably a lot of people's prediction to this game is either Atreus or Kratos dying. And I love that they didn't. They'll die in the next game.
Yeah, we'll get a bit more of them before that happens.
Yeah.
What's something we have not touched on that we need to touch on in spoilers?
What'd you think of the World Serpent?
Oh yeah. I thought the World Serpent was cool. I liked just how bassy and brutal and intimidating and daunting he was to be in his presence, and I loved going inside him.
Yeah,
I liked being inside the giant snake.
Yeah,
it reminded me I was getting Gears 2 vibes. I'm like, I hope we don't burst out of this poor bastard like in Gears 2.
Yeah, that giant worm in Gears. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I felt it was so. I mean, granted, he's a giant mythological snake, so I felt bad though when I was inside his belly and as this wooden structure he's swallowing Thor's statue. I'm like, man, how do you digest
that?
This
Was hilarious when he just ate Thor.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, he just doesn't like him.
Yeah, that was funny.
Also, I just thought the World Serpent was pretty funny. Just when Mimir's talking to him the first time and he rears back to like kill him and he's like, no. Like they're not friends of Odin.
Yeah.
And he calms down. But that was just them talking was really amusing to me. It reminded me of Finding Nemo when Dory's talking to the whale or whatever. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
Just a talking head talking to a giant snake. It's so funny. Yeah, I love just the comedic bits too. I thought Brock was so funny with his like pissed off nature. I mean, obviously he was a charming character too, but he's always frustrated about something. And then Mimir's gag reflex to everything that's slightly Sindri, that slightly disgusted him. So, and I loved their when they reunited at the end too.
Yeah, that was cool.
So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I did too.
The World Serpent was great. Loved it. I cannot wait to get back to playing the game. One with the side stuff, but I almost want to just replay it from start to finish.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I'll definitely having ran through the game, dude, I might just start over and just do everything as I go.
Oh, really? Maybe
just
I'll do the same.
Just do it as I go. It's like I said, I really want to pay attention to the story. Not that I wasn't paying attention to the story, but I didn't read as I went the bestiary and all this other stuff as I went. So I really want to play it again and just take my just absolute sweet time, do all the side stuff as I go and stuff. I think that sounds a lot of fun to me.
You and me both.
So, but you want to talk about the actual ending, the only actual cut
in the
entire game.
Yep.
Is if you actually go back to Kratos' house, I'm going to say right now, if you haven't seen this yet, spoiler warning in the spoilers, I'm going to give a spoiler warning. Go do this first. Go back to your house after you've spread the ashes, and then come back. But so you go to your house, you sleep, thunder or lightning comes down and just Thor's out there waiting for you, and that's how it actually ends. Cuts to credits.
Well, we got to talk about what it says though, because you go to sleep
years later,
and it cuts and it says years later.
Yeah,
and then like you said, the lightning strikes down. They're like, what the hell's happening? They bust out the door. It pans. You get a very subdued look at Thor. He's like in a black cloak, and it pans and it shows the reveal of Mjolnir on his hip, and then Kratos just screams like, "Who are you?" And then it just cuts to credits, and that's when the real credits roll.
Yeah. And then comes back and Atreus says that was a dream of his, and Kratos is like, we'll cross that bridge
when we get there. Yes, we've been through enough.
Yeah.
So and then he mentions, I think Mimir, he says something about Loki could see visions, or he's like, it felt like the future.
Yeah.
So we're assuming that Loki can see the future.
Yeah.
So now I wonder if they'll dabble in the version of Loki like for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I don't know if Marvel has borrowed from traditional Norse mythology for this, where Loki is like the deceiver, where he's capable of disguising himself and deceiving others when he wants. So I don't know if they'll take Atreus down that path.
Loki in Norse mythology, from what I saw, he can be a shapeshifter.
Okay.
He can turn into different things, which I think is interesting.
Atreus asked Kratos
exactly.
That.
He asked that. So I guess if you're more into Norse mythology, you might have picked up on that a little bit more, and that might have made you raise your eyebrows a little bit, but me knowing nothing, I just didn't think of it. But he is supposed to be able to do that, so who knows? But I know he based on what I read as well, he is called the trickster, I believe. So I know he's supposed to deceive gods and stuff. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see what they because that is literally my only knowledge of these people are like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I don't know if I'm not sure those are really
accurate depictions of the source material per se.
Yeah, because Thor's a lot nicer than this Thor seems.
Oh yeah, that's what it seems for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
and I don't think Loki in the Marvel Cinematic Universe gave birth to
the World Serpent.
The World Serpent.
At least not that we know of. Maybe that'll be the big reveal in Infinity War this Friday. But I think we've covered everything we need to cover.
Yeah, I think for the most part. Like I said, it was such a big game to just take in. I really want to marinate on it. I want to think. I'm so excited for the tons of oh my gosh, this is like, dude, the next franchise that I think this is Sony's next thing. The hype is unreal. Everybody loves this game. Typically games that are received this well, I'm seeing somebody on Twitter say, I don't understand about this game. Dude, nobody's saying that. It just, people that aren't even in the game industry that I follow are picking this game up and saying how incredible it is. So this is Sony's next big thing. I think I think like we said in the podcast, this is one of the best games I've played. This is one of the funnest games I've played. I think later on down the line, I can totally see this being like in my top 5 or absolutely 10, maybe top 5. It's absolutely incredible. I think it's going to define the PS4 generation, and I think this is going to be like a Naughty Dog level franchise where people are going to look at Santa Monica Studio like just one of the best, just an elite studio, one of the best studios in the world now.
They're going to get the same reaction Naughty Dog gets with every trailer that's ever released. Before people know what it is, when the Naughty Dog logo appears and everyone cheers, they're going to get the exact same reaction now. Yeah,
for sure. I think this is going to clean up at the game. I know Red Dead's coming out. This game is going to clean up at the
100%. I think
the more I play it, the more I know people are like, man, Red Dead's gonna win everything. I don't know why I did a redneck voice for that. I started out at least, but I cannot as much, dude. I am jazzed for Red Dead. I'm going to love Red Dead. Red Dead Redemption is one of it's an incredible game. I love the story in that game. If it's better than this game, then what a freaking year.
I know.
Like, what a freaking year for a game. With Spider-Man coming out too, I don't think I'll be able to survive this year if Red Dead is better than this. So it's just, man, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. I cannot wait to see where they take this franchise. Like, I am on pins and needles saying with this and like The Last of Us 2 coming out. There have never been so many like franchises that I cannot wait to see what they're going to do next. So
you and me both, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that does it for everything we wanted to cover. Of course, we encourage you guys to comment down below on all things spoilers for God of War, things you loved, maybe things you didn't love so much, some of your favorite aspects, whether it be the combat, the characters, the story, the world. We'd love to hear from you, so please do so.
Yeah. And like I said, if we got something wrong in the story or
even forgot something.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'm not remembering correctly about, the things we were talking about, please let us know down in the description. Oh yeah, what I was going to say is I can't wait to see videos of people's speculation for the future or just really diving deep into the story of this
game. The nitty-gritty of little aspects we maybe didn't even consider.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to see other people's interpretation of everything. So
I'm quite excited myself.
Yeah. Great game.
Yes.
But if you enjoyed the spoiler discussion, please subscribe to the channel and be sure to check out the It's Obvious Gaming podcast every single week on Monday. You can check us out at on the Apple podcasting app. Pretty much every other podcasting service, Spotify, you'll pretty much find us. Just check the description down below. There will be links to social media pages and anything else you could need to contact us. But I think that'll do it, Garrett.
I think that'll do it.
It's been a pleasure discussing God of War with you. It's been a long time coming.
Of course, I've been holding this in for quite a while. I know you've been holding it in all weekend because you want to avoid those spoilers, and I'm glad you blazed through it so we could talk about it sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
well, I guess that
does
that's
it.
goodbye to all of you. Enjoy the rest of your time with God of War if you, for whatever reason, you listened to this before finishing it. But if you have finished it, again,
go back and do platinum it.
Yeah,
platinum.
I'm gonna try to platinum it.
Great platinum.
Try. It deserves it for sure.
Yeah,
if any game's deserving of one, it's this one.
Yeah. The only thing that might be a little is you have to get all 51 of Odin's ravens.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's going to take a guide from me.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
All right.
But all right.
Cool.
We'll see you guys on anything else you watch of ours.
Absolutely.
All right, bye.
See ya.